Listen close. I'm from a land called Sparta.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Soft Chaos. Um, Today we're gonna be doing a Chaos Studio episode 9, I believe. Um, and Of course, as the title of the video says, so you already know what you're clicking into to watch. It's pretty much gonna be a broad critique on the gaming industry, but I'm focusing on Sony because, well, I'm a PlayStation guy and I love Sony as a company in general. I'm not gonna go too long with the intro, so I'll let you guys have a break. But before we go on the break, I want you to like, share, subscribe. Ring the bell, notification bell, and do all the do's before we move on. Um, yeah.
Sparta.
So
I made a deal with the god that cost me my soul.
so Sony just raised the price of the PS5 again, and I don't mean a small adjustment. I mean the standard PS5 now costs $650 before taxes. So in a city like St. John's, where I used to live, with 15% tax on top of it, you're looking at about what? That's about $65. Oh, yeah, that's about no, actually more than that. That's about 90 something bucks. Because 15%, 10% of 650 will give you 65. Then half of that is about 32.50. So add that to 65, you're looking at about 97.50. So about $100. So after taxes, a PS5 is now gonna cost you about $750. And and that's the digital edition with no disk drive. The PS5 Pro is now $900 before taxes. So $900, and this is for a console that came out in 2020. Just let that sit with you for a second. And here's what's wild about this. For basically the entire history of gaming hardware, consoles get cheaper over time. That's just how it works. The PS3 launched at $599, which was already infamous, and within a few years it was down to $299. The PS4 followed the same pattern. Every generation, you could expect prices to drop as manufacturing costs came down. PS5 has broken that mold entirely. This is a console that became more expensive multiple times several years into its life cycle. The April's increase is actually the second time in under a year that Sony has raised the price. They already bumped it by $50 back in August, and now they are back with $100 increase on the standard model and a $150 increase on the Pro. Sony's official explanation: continued pressures in the global economic landscape. That's the full statement. No breakdown, no specific, just vibes. Now, to be fair, the pressures are real. Industry experts point to the shortage of RAM, which we all know about, the whole AI revolution with I think it was Micron recently that closed down their customer service, like I say customer service, the customers facing side of their business. Samsung Mobile is having issues securing RAM and modules from its own chip manufacturer, like from themselves. So everyone knows about the shortage, but it seems like Sony is pushing that to the most extreme version of what they can do, because to increase a console's price by pretty much $100, what, on the sixth year, because it came out 2020, this is 2026, on the sixth year of his release, I think it's silly. Regardless of what the situation is, I think it's silly. Um, The demand from AI data centers has constrained component supplies, forcing manufacturers to pass costs downstream to consumers. This is another concept that I really, really hate. Oh, things are hard for us to manufacture, so we're just gonna make even more money from the consumers. Bullshit. And the prices never come down when the constraints are resolved. Nah, we will keep paying those high prices. They never seem to come down. It's the same thing with the tariffs. They when Trump passed the tariffs, every company and their mom and their auntie increased their prices and blamed it on tariffs. Now the tariffs have been found to be illegal. Not only is it the companies who are going to get refunded, so meaning even though the cost was passed down to us, to the consumers, it's the companies that are getting refunded, not the consumers who took on the cost. It's the companies that are getting refunded, and the prices have not still come down. So yeah, it's just, I don't even get it. I don't get it.
My life is yours, Ares. From this day, I shall.
But here's the part that bothers me. The PS5 Digital Edition is now $200 more expensive than it was at launch, and the disc edition has finally surpassed the. I remember this when the PS3 was launched, that everyone was clowning on Sony because I think Xbox took advantage of that. Like Sony priced their console at $599, and Xbox took advantage of that and priced their console at $499. So they were $100 cheaper than Sony, which was the same gimmick Sony used against Xbox when during the PS2 Xbox 360 era, because Xbox 360 I think came out with like a ridiculous price of like 399 or something, and then Sony came out with the new PS2 and announced that the price was going to be 299. So the same $100 gimmick. But I guess everyone has seemed to forgotten that, it's the customers who have to save up for the whole year to be able to buy the console that are gonna feel the effect of this.
I shall carry forth your will. It was long ago. I killed many who would.
There's a reason this increase is happening right now in 2026. GTA 6 is on the horizon. People will buy a PS5 to play it. The demand is coming regardless, and Sony knows that. The data backs this up in a troubling way. In Q4 of 2025, 53% of gaming hardware buyers had household income of over $100,000, up from just 40% back in Q1. The average price paid for new gaming hardware in the US was $247 in 2019. By 2025, it was $452. So what's happening is that gaming hardware is slowly becoming a luxury product. It is, not by accident, by attrition. Prices go up, lower income households drop out, and the audience quietly gets wealthier and smaller. They've been doing it with games this whole while. The concept of this um microtransactions, I think that's what they call it, microtransactions. I was reading an interview that they did with I think it was the CEO of the company that does Fortnite. I can't remember the name of the company now. But the guy was saying how their business model is really that they want to capture the whales. And the interviewer was like, "What do they mean by whales?" And the guy was saying their model is not necessarily so that everybody can be able to afford the skins. They are really targeting those people who can spend 10,000, 100,000, $1 million over the span of them playing that game. Because rather than appealing to the regular person who would want to pay five, 10, maybe $20 for a skin, when they can appeal to someone who is willing to pay 100, 500, $1,000 for a skin. And it will mean they will have to cater the game to fewer people, which makes it easier. There was a whole convoluted way the guy explained it, and it basically meant, like, it basically boiled down to, we are gearing the game to the minority of people who have the ability to spend $1 million over the lifetime of on over their lifetime on the platform. And it's just a ridiculous way to go about business, in my opinion. But hey, and and honestly, I think it should concern everybody, not just people who can't afford the price hike right now, because a shrinking wealthier player base changes the games that get made, how they are priced, and who the industry thinks it's servicing. um I think we see this in the fact that double A games are not really a thing anymore. A lot of double A studios have closed down. I used to I remember the days when, like, you would have all this, like, very, like, I'm not saying double A studios are not around anymore, but I'm saying they don't get the same level of investment. Look at, of recent, this same Sony, thinking they would be able to cash into the whole um uh game as a service model, that would include all the microtransaction, the seasonal passes, all of that stuff. And they try to implement that with the new Concord game, and the game came out and was such a huge flop that they closed it down. I think they said within 6 weeks or 3 weeks of the game launching. And not just shut down the game, they shut out the company that developed the game. So and the whole time I was thinking to myself, because I know that company, I'd heard they were actually working on no man's no 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 it was is it No Man's Sky type game that was supposed to be offline and supposed to be like a story based game. But Sony bought them and took over the whole vision of the company, and they ended up releasing a half baked game that nobody really asked for. So, hey, who knows? Another thing that, sorry, before we go on, before we finish this video, because I'm about to do the closing. Another thing that I hate is how every single game is now like multiplayer first. I fucking hate it, like, with a passion. What's wrong with just having a simple story based game that I can play as a single player, or have my friends come over and they plug in a pad, and we all get to play? Why does everything need to be connected to the internet? Nowadays, even the single player games need to be connected to the internet. What's the deal with that? Like, can we go back to just having common sense? It's why I don't even really see the point of consoles having CDs anymore, because most of those CDs, they are just what they really do is serve as digital DRMs. They don't actually have the content of the game inside the CD. The CD is just a key. When you put in the CD, instead of putting a digital code that you will get in your email, the key is on the CD, and then your console then connects to the internet to download the actual game. So what's now the point of selling a motherfucking CD? Why are you wasting all that money on packaging and an actual CD when you know all that's on it is just a code? I think that's whole logic. I don't know. Doesn't really add up to me. But that's where we are now in the gaming industry. Everything is an online game. Even the solo games that logically should not need to be connected online are all online games. And because we are in this age where you pay for everything and you own nothing, the game studio can literally decide to wake up 2 weeks from now, or a year from now, or 2 years from now, or fuck it, even 10 years from now, and decide, oh well, job's done, and then shutter the entire program, close down the servers, and the game you have spent at this point, $80 to buy, and probably over its lifetime spent hundreds, if not for some people, maybe thousands of dollars investing in, you can no longer access any of it anymore. I think it's silly. So yeah, look, I get it. The world is expensive. Supply chains are a mess. AI is eating all the RAM. These are not fake problems, but there's a difference between a company navigating hard conditions and a company using hard conditions as a cover to extract more money from an audience that's already committed. And Sony, with a $900 Pro console, a 249 portal, and a zero real explanation beyond global pressures, is starting to feel like the company using hard conditions as a cover to extract more money from its audience. PS5 sales already dropped 16% during the last holiday quarter compared to the year before. The audience is speaking, but Sony seems to be getting that betting that people who are still buying don't have anywhere else to go. And that's kind of true because it's still up in the air if Xbox is going to be releasing a new console. Meanwhile, there have been rumors that have confirmed that Sony is already working on PlayStation 6 and a potential portable. So, meaning like a revival of the PlayStation PSP. Probably it won't be called a PSP, but in spirit, that's what it's gonna be. Um, so yeah, and maybe they are right, maybe they are not. But I think it's worth asking: at what point do we stop calling this market pressure and start calling it what it is? Console gaming used to be accessible alternative to expensive PC gaming, and quietly without much ceremony, that stopped being true. Make it make sense, Sony. So yeah, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments. How do you feel in general about the prices of games going up? I think I heard recently that GTA 6 is planning on launching with $100 price tag. Nintendo, when they released the Switch 2, increased the base price of all their games from $50 to $70. So all their games went from being 49.99, I think, to 69.99, or maybe even 79.99. But I know they increased the price. So there's already that precedent being set by Nintendo. And now people are expecting that when GTA 6 get released, the base price for like the standard edition is gonna be $100. And I think, in my opinion, that's gonna really, really set tone, because I think Rockstar are they are that big of a developer that if they are able to charge $100 for GTA 6, then it will change the scope of what, or at least it will, to the other developers, it what that would look like to them is the market is willing to pay $100, even though in reality their games will not be up to half of the quality of what GTA is going to be offering. But that's another discussion. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think people should just give up on this stuff and just everyone go buy a $1,500 pre-built PC and put your games on it? Or do you think it's still worth it that people should invest in getting a console? I'm still gonna get a console. I'm already halfway through my savings so that I can replace my PS5 at the end of the year. So I'm definitely still a console guy, just simply because I never really got into computer gaming, and consoles always get the games first. So even this GTA 6 that's coming out now, it's 100% coming out on the PlayStation 5, but they still have not confirmed when the PC version is going to be released. So for that and so many other reasons, I believe I'm still gonna be a console gamer. But let me know what you think. Let's chat, and yeah. So have a good day. Share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
New videos uploaded every week. So subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoy the journey.